what president in the last, however many years, who has done a job where you're like, okay, this guy came through and did his part? Like, who has been someone where you've said, that's my guy, I'm sticking with him, he did great, he came through, he kept his word, da-da-da-da-da. Who was the person that...
Well, I'm with Reagan on the point. Sorry, I'm not one of these nut Republicans who can only cite Reagan. It drives me crazy. But I think he was the one who said, with politicians, if they're 80% with me and 20% against me, that's enough. That's enough. That's fine for me. And so I'd say that's true with a lot of them. I think you have to be I think it's hard to be a normal person and run for president. You have to be a little bit of a narcissist or something. But I'd say more than 80% satisfied with Governor DeSantis.
You're 80% satisfied?
More than.
Okay, with
There's
what?
very little I would criticize about DeSantis. I mean, the COVID response, we're down to him and the president of Sweden. I had him on my podcast right before the first debate. And I said, I considered it like debate prep. And I said, okay, now you're absolutely the best, head and shoulders. No one can compare to you on immigration, crime, and COVID response. So we're going to do a little test on this. No matter what I ask you, you start to answer and then turn it right back around to immigration, crime, or your COVID response. And on COVID, I said, look, nobody compares to you when you were taking all the slings and the arrows. So unless the president of Sweden is running in next year's presidential election, you are way ahead of the rest of them on that.
This is with DeSantis. Mm-hmm. So how do you think he's doing today?
I wish he had read In Trump We Trust. I gave him a copy. I said, but you have to actually do it.
You think he read it?
I don't know. I think I still don't think Trump is going to be the nominee, though I wouldn't put money on it. I've put many stake bets on it. That may be a mistake. I have a feeling I'm jinxing myself. You don't think Trump's going to
be the nominee?
And
in what way?
Yeah.
Well, I wrote about this. It's on my Substack. It was about 2 months ago because I remembered this. I looked back and saw who was leading, who was the polls for the Republicans nominee for like 20 years. It was never the guy who turned out to be the nominee. A year before the election, it's always name recognition. So, we can go visit the Rudy Giuliani Presidential Museum after this, or the Newt Gingrich Presidential Museum, or the Fred Thompson Presidential Museum.
Or the Huckabee.
Liddy Dole. Liddy Dole was neck and neck with Bush. Liddy Dole. Why? Because she was the wife of the guy who had just run for president. It's all name recognition. We've never had somebody with so much name recognition as Donald Trump. Name another human on the face of the earth who's that recognizable and everybody knows that name. And DeSantis, I think, put it well, but very briefly. What he said is presidential elections aren't decided by polls; they're decided by voters. And look, you can have me back and laugh at me because I could be totally wrong, and I'm a little nervous.
You want to put another? You're 1 for 1, and so I want to hear this because I want to bet.
I don't feel as confident as I did.
Real quick, Ann,
you don't feel as confident with DeSantis as you did with Trump?
No, it's not DeSantis. No, I don't feel as much confidence saying Trump won't be the nominee.
Oh, I got you.
You want to put a steak dinner on it?
I already have too many. Or I'm going to bankrupt myself.
Wow. And is your reason for saying that he won't? Is it because of everything that they're doing right now, legally, illegally, in my mind, to completely destroy him? Because if you think about it, mentally, politically, financially, it's an all-out assault. It's completely, like, if you don't see it, I'm saying as the public, you're dumb. Is that your reason for saying it? Or
exactly the opposite. The Democrats know exactly what they're doing, and I wrote about this the day of again, on anncoulter.substack.com, the day after the Alvin Bragg absurd indictment in New York. Trump was dead in the water before that. Nobody showed up at his announcement speech. Fox cut away from it. It was a bore. He was collapsing in the polls. But the smart Democrats, I'll admit, on MSNBC, they genuinely hate him.
Yeah, big time.
But that dovetails with the smart Democrats, like David Axelrod, sitting back and saying, Okay, here's our re-election plan for Joe Biden. Trick Republicans into nominating Donald Trump.
Yeah.
And man, did Republicans fall for it. Yeah. Oh, they're easy to roll. And they keep doing this because every time they do it, I mean, this was the theme of my last book, Resistance is Futile. I kept finding myself at cocktail parties arguing with New York Times reporters, telling them, drop the Russia stuff. It's stupid. This is what you should be attacking him for. There's loads to attack him for. Why are you doing things that you force me to defend him? And that's what they do. They force people like me, and I don't want to defend the man, to defend him by these utterly preposterous indictments. The only one that's at all legit, and it's legit, but should he go to prison for it, is the Florida Mar-a-Lago one. If somebody, and little word to the wise, if you get a subpoena from a DA's office or federal prosecutor's office, you have to comply.
Of course, yeah, of course.
So what are you thinking? What are you thinking here? What you just said?
Okay, well, here's my thing. Well, with that, I'm thinking it's all BS, and I think you nailed it, actually, Ann. So the left doesn't let a crisis ever go to waste.
Yes.
You know that, right? So, for instance, with COVID, and they're brilliant. Say what you want about the left. They are geniuses because they do capitalize. 70% of voters didn't vote on election day, the last election. You know that, right? I'm sorry, they didn't vote on election day. It used to be the absentee ballots. It used to be 30% to 70% because of COVID. Everybody's staying home. It was 70 to 30. Okay, it was a coordinated effort. Zuckerberg donated $420 million. They had Antifa on the streets. They were, suppressing the vote, like you mentioned earlier too. Twitter had how many FBI agents there? They had $3.5 million FBI gave to stay there, censor all the stories, all the Biden stuff. So my question to you is, and people thought that they cheated, and what are you concerned that they're going to manufacture another crisis to keep, to do that same thing, or are the pieces of the game already set up for them to win?
If it's Trump, it's easy street for the Democrats. I mean, also you have to remember they do control the media.
Of course.
And whenever Republicans have some great idea or conservatives are pushing on me, and I say why it won't work, and they say, yeah, but that's not fair because that's not how the media treated Democrats. And I say, as with January 6th, but the media is being unfair to us. If you are so stupid not to know that the media is far left and you're not going to get any help from them, you shouldn't be running into the Capitol. You are too dumb to even remember to go to the bathroom. So they can mostly sit back on easy street if their whole reelection plan for Biden is trick Republicans into renominating Trump. If it's not Trump,
okay.
And if Biden has to debate with Ron DeSantis,
it's over.
What they're going to do is, my suspicion is, they'll pretend we've got a new variant.
And mind you, they tried testing it, and we were just tired of it. But I just have a feeling. Do you genuinely think that's going to be Biden? Biden's going to make it to the actual, he's going to be the guy?
I don't know.
Who else do you think? Because, Newsom, I'm not running, I'm kind of running. He's debating DeSantis. We're still baffled. Who do you think, if it's not going to be Biden, who do you think is going to be that slippery snake that just comes in?
And by the way, this may be one way the Democrats, although they're conning Republicans, trying to get them to renominate Trump, they could also be conning too many of themselves that they think, oh yeah, it's definitely going to be Trump. We don't have to worry about anything. We'll do Weekend at Bernie's. This will be fine. If it turns out that when voters go to vote, they do not vote for Trump, then they really are going to be in so much trouble. But I think they have to, I don't know that much about election law, but I think they have to decide pretty fast because there are state laws, I believe, that prevent you from being on the ballot if you're not nominated in time. And I think they have another month to make a decision.
So you think they're doing all of this stuff to give Trump momentum and help him out to be the nominee and beat DeSantis?
I think the smart ones are. The dumb ones just hate Trump. And that's basically the entire MSNBC staff. So
you're saying they are scared that DeSantis is going to come and beat Biden. That's what they fear.
I think almost.
DeSantis is having a hard time beating Nikki Haley. DeSantis is getting, first one he had a hard time with Vivek. He's getting other people that are coming up because, and by the way, again, I'd love to hear that part. The follow-up would be, you got the most popular president of all time, okay? Not, Joe Biden, Tony Robbins status type of motivational speaker, but the most popular president of all time that we have, 81 million votes, whatever the number is, right? Okay. Trump on the other side, the most fanatical supporters Republicans have had in how long? Maybe since Reagan. Fanatical. I don't think George Bush had fanatical. I don't think Senior had fanatical.
That doesn't get you more votes.
Okay, but it's fanatical. That comes down to the middle, which is the independent libertarians. It's really 4 or 5 different. Yeah. So
Republicans.
to win yours. Okay, fair. So, but when it comes down to it, you're saying a DeSantis who has a hard time with the stage when you watch him, he's not necessarily one that's winning it. If you look at this right here, this is not us showing it. This is, the polls showing from how close he was to Trump and how separated it gets more and more and more.
Right.
And you see Haley is not coming up to the point where somebody called him a bird brain. Haley. Who called Haley a bird brain? Somebody you may recognize, your friend, called him a bird brain. Maybe that's because she's a threat now, that she's coming up. She's getting too much attention.
Hated her.
You've always hated her.
Yeah.
So you actually agree that she is a bird brain?
Hey, were you the one that sent her the bird cage and the food? Somebody sent her. They said Donald Trump's camp send her a bird.
So you think DeSantis stands a shot at beating Biden?
Yeah, yes, I'm worried for the reasons you say. Okay, he's not a showman on the debate stage, and this could be, wishful thinking. But one thing I've noticed about presidents is we tend to go back and forth. It's like me going back and forth on boyfriends. The smart, ugly one and the good-looking, stupid one. And you just keep going back and forth and back and forth. And
who won? Who's won so far? It's actually a very good case study.
Well, what you ought to do is have like 2 at the same time. I'll talk to you. Make
now
out
you're
with
talking
you.
about
Yes, and let's go.
That's good. Soundcast.
And
throughout the day, I talk to Bob, but at night, it's Jose.
The workout friend tennis pro.
And the voters similarly seem to go back and forth between highly articulate presidents and marbles in their mouth presidents. So Reagan, unbelievably articulate.
Funny.
It drove Democrats crazy. And Hollywood. Okay, then we get marbles in his mouth, George Bush won. Then we get Mr. Smooth, Bill Clinton, and it melts in your mouth.
Literally.
It's really sexy when you say that.
And then we go from there, from another marbles in your mouth Bush to, oh my gosh, the most articulate president we've probably ever had, Barack Obama, to Trump, who has a vocabulary of about 50 words.
What do you mean? He has the best words.
China.
Disaster.
He knows the best words.
And they're the strongest.
And what
Very
would you say to
strong.
the people?
Strongest words.
Since you're speaking of your love life and multiple guys, that you sound almost like
was
a
a
scorned
metaphor.
lover. You sound like you're someone that was in love. You guys are fighting and literally cursing each other out in the White House. You guys have this text message relationship. You guys are so close. You literally
I'd say it's
nailed
very
his election.
sexist.
Very sexist.
Very sexist. It reminds me of that. I don't know if you've seen this, the Seinfeld episode where Elaine is going crazy because every time she's angry at a woman, cat fight. And not smart people who want to attack me always do. Look, I don't know if you guys were paying attention to politics then, but when Chris Christie, governor of New Jersey, took on the teachers' unions, oh my gosh, that was the most beautiful thing to behold. And the public sector...
Many viral clips with him on that.
And the public sector unions are a huge problem for this country and for state after state after state. So I was a huge Chris Christie fan. Oh, and by the way, met with him too, privately, and harangued him for 2 hours about immigration is the most important issue. But no, he decides he's going to listen to the Wall Street Journal and collapses. So then I didn't like him. But when I was supporting Chris Christie, because you got to admit, even when you hate what he's saying, he is funny, he is articulate, he is everything you're saying DeSantis isn't. He's a little awkward on stage, which I think is fine. I think people will get over that and just look at his record. At least that's what I'm hoping.
You don't sound convinced, though. You're not convinced.
Well,
you're hoping. You're not.
Well, It's a long time in advance. I generally don't like to make predictions. They made me on politically incorrect.
Real time.
Sorry, real time.
They're still politically incorrect, but still.
So let's go to the exchange you guys had a month ago. Can you pull this up, Rob? Let's just show the exchange you guys had a month ago. So
It wasn't exactly
so if you wanna go to truth first, yeah. So Ann Coulter, the washed-up political pundit who predicted my win in 2016, then went unbearably crazy with her demands and wanting to be part of everything to the Constitution of all, has gone hostile and angry with every bit of her very nervous energy. Like many others, I just don't want her around. She wasn't worth the trouble. And part two, he says, page 2, he says, has Ann Coulter, has been Ann Coulter, is a stone cold loser. And then you respond, if you want to zoom in here, Trump begged me to go to Bedminster this week. I said only if I could record a Substack with him. But the gigantic pussycat is too afraid of me, so instead he did this.
Pat, there was no cat in there. And it's all in capital letters, all in caps.
Leave the cats alone.
So what happened here? What happened here with the small little public feud you guys had?
A friend of mine who owns a restaurant in New York where a lot of journalists go went out. It was written up in a newspaper, and he had the newspaper on the wall, and I happened to be at the restaurant that night, so I was in the article. So we got everybody in the article to sign this blown-up article. So he wanted to get, and among the people who go there are Trumps, none of the one names you know, but still in the neighborhood. And so he wanted to get Trump to sign it. So he goes with Trump's sister out to Bedminster. And Trump is signing it, and he sees my name there, and my friend calls me. I'm out in the Hamptons, and he's desperately calling me. I have to talk to you. I can't put this in a text. I got to call. Okay. He said, you know her? You got to get her out to Bedminster. And he said, he circled around to me 3 different times. He said, you got to get her to Bedminster. You got to get her to Bedminster. And I'm thinking, well, I don't want to hurt the restaurateur's feelings, but there's no effing way I'm going to Bedminster. And then as soon as I said, I'll think about it, but probably not. And then I hang up and think, oh my gosh, I have a Substack. And so I text him back and say, no, I won't go to Bedminster, but I want him to do a Substack video with me, which I do all the time, about once a week. And I have big, important people on, not as big as you, but pretty big. And I know he's not going to do it. So first he comes back and says, oh, he doesn't do Zoom. And then I'm saying, okay, I'll come out there. And I'm talking to all my techie friends saying, I need every one of you wearing a GoPro because I'm going to go out there and he's going to say, no, I won't be interviewed. He wouldn't do it on camera. I knew he wouldn't. So all I get back is, yes, maybe we'll set it up. People are going back to Florida now. This was a month ago. Nobody's back in Florida in August. He's not going back to Florida. So some of my journalist friends said, so is this happening? Is this happening? Are you going? And before this even happened, I texted the exact same thing to him, and I said, it's not happening. He's a gigantic pussy. He's too scared of me. He won't do it. And then, I'm just going about my day a few days later, and I start getting all these emails. Why is Trump attacking you out of the blue on Truth Social? Well, this is his chicken way of saying no.
So how much after the exchange did this attack on Truth come out?
Oh, it happened like 2 days after they were giving me BS excuses about when we're going to do the Substack.
So why do you think he wanted to meet with you in Bedminster? What do you think his outcome was or motive was?
Take a picture with me. And put it up on Truth Social and say, look who's supporting me again.
Oh, wow.
But he wouldn't do that.
Oh, he totally would.
You know why I don't think he would do that? You know why I don't think he would do that? Because within seconds you would deny it.
Okay, but I explained what happened with that attack. So he doesn't care.
No, but it would be a very bad look for him to do that. For example, Little Bow Wow posts a picture like 6 years ago. I don't know if you know this guy. He's a big time. He was a big rapper 20 years ago.
Bow
yeah,
Wow.
the
Bow Wow.
Oh, him. Yeah.
So he posts a picture that, hey, jet flying, stuff like this.
Oh, yeah.
And then a guy responds back and says, he's not jet flying. He was on a commercial airplane. What was this all about? It was the most embarrassing thing. I don't know if you remember this or not when this took place. Okay. So for Trump to post a picture of you to say who supported me, within seconds you would trash that. I don't know if
he
he would.
has a much bigger megaphone.
No, I don't.
He's
I
the
don't.
ex-president.
No, but are you kidding me? Mainstream media hates him. You would be center stage story, invited to every single CNN, MSNBC to trash him. You would get that in I don't think that would be.
They will only invite people on. I mean, isn't that curious that they haven't invited me on to trash him? Why? Because I trash him for not keeping his promises. This is how much they want open borders, and they want to destroy this country. If you attack him from the right, as I'm doing,
Yeah.
oh no, you're kryptonite to the networks. Only if you come on and say, we almost lost our democracy.
So your biggest issue with Trump essentially is he's not Trumpy enough.
He didn't keep his promises.
You nailed the nail on the head. You're not attacking him from the left. Everyone else is. You're attacking him from the right. And your biggest critique of him is straight up the open borders, immigration, not building the wall policy, right?
Yes.
And you live in, you're as conservative and as right-leaning as you are, you spend your time with the East Coast elite. You're in LA, San Francisco, what have you, and you're in New York. Here's my question. New York, we see what's going on with Eric Adams. We've seen what the governor, Kathy Holcomb, is saying. When are New Yorkers going to wake up and realize, all right, maybe this sanctuary city thing ain't what the cat pajamas is all about? What do you say?
They're waking up, and God bless Governor DeSantis. He started it. He said it first, and then that Martha's Vineyard thing is what set it off. And I mean, Abbott has more illegal aliens. It's an open border. This is why we need a wall. And I think more and more Americans are seeing this is the problem with not having a wall. And I just want to point out, anyone who talks about border security and does not say we need a wall is a liar. Nothing will work but a wall. And by the way, I don't know if you saw today, Joe Biden is saying he's going to start building a wall and blow off environmental regulations, proving my point.
That would be the Biden.
Nothing works but a wall. And the only one who I think is trustworthy enough, I mean, Vivek.
I was just going to ask you
I
that.
love Vivek. I hate to say this. I don't trust him as far as I can throw him. His best ideas are all coming from DeSantis. But, oh, my gosh, that kid is articulate. So the only one I really trust to build a wall is DeSantis.
So not Trump. So of all the people, you're saying that Trump wouldn't be the most likely person to
He
build
had
the
4
freaking wall?
years.
Yeah,
he
but
had a Republican House and a Senate. No, he does not give two shits
and
about
I'm
the
about
wall.
to defend Trump right now.
Oh my
Don't
God,
you
here we
think
go.
he actually wanted to build the wall?
No, he was.
Why would he lie about the wall?
Didn't they start
Because it
building?
got him the presidency.
So you don't think he actually genuinely in his bones wants to build the wall? Genuinely?
I don't know, something that you easily could have done at any point I'll even give you year 2 or 3 and 4. And by the way, he didn't need Congress. But if you have it in your head that you need Congress, you have a Republican House and a Republican Senate. And what did he do? He passed Paul Ryan's tax cuts.
Well, he wanted to go to the healthcare first.
And then what do you say to like somebody?
Yeah, he did a lot on healthcare, didn't he?
Yeah,
No,
exactly.
obviously it didn't.
And what do you say about because Vivek's attitude? He was interviewed. He just stopped somebody. He was doing grassroots, going to like coffee shops, and somebody's like, "How are you going to fix the border?" And he said, "I would deploy our military and literally put them at the southern border." Are you?
DeSantis said that first, and he said it better. And I wish I could just make him our president.
He wears high heel boots.
You can't
One
give
of-
him Riz though, Ann.
I
You know what Riz
think
is?
he may not need it.
Well, really?
How do you not need charisma and personality and Riz to be the president?
George
other than Joe Biden.
H.W. Bush, George W.
Yeah, but
Bush.
that's
a different era, he's saying.
social media,
Yeah.
and you know how this works these days.
No.
It's showmanship. It's entertainment. Politics pre-2000 wasn't showmanship.
I
how
don't
it
know.
is
Maybe
today.
you're right. Like I
Social media.
say,
I'm right on this one. Ann.
I might be losing a lot of stake bets, but I just think that before people vote, what they do is they look at the candidates. There's generally, I'm trying to remember, do they have a debate in every state, at least the early states, before each primary or caucus? They definitely have one in Iowa. They will have one in New Hampshire. They will have one in South Carolina. And I mean, I always find it weird how many people there are who don't care about politics at all. They know as much about politics as I know about football. That's 0. But before they're going to vote, they know a presidential election is important. They're civic-minded. They're just, I don't know, they have lives. And before that primary comes, they look up the candidates, and that's why we didn't have President Fred Thompson.
Yeah.
And as for Haley, there was one thing I was going to say about why I think she's going up in the polls. There was one thing that I will admit so far I've been wrong about, because every 4 years, my entire life, at some point during the Republican presidential nomination process or primary process, the Black Republican is polling at number 1 or number 2, and I mean, many of them I've actually genuinely liked, like Herman Cain and his 999. I liked Alan Keyes, lots of them. But it's just so pathetic that Republicans are so desperate not to be called racist. Oh, I like Colin Powell for president. Oh, good for you. And so I predicted that at some point, Tim Scott. Yes, there it is.
Tim Scott would be polling first or second.
At some point, first or second. So far, I've been wrong, but now I think Haley's taking the place. No, I'm for a woman. You can't call me sexist.
Yeah.
Because I think she's been an absolute disaster in the debates.
So you're saying it's all just optics, or they're actually Steve Schmidt, your old buddy who was McCain's campaign manager, actually was like, oh, I didn't realize how racist the Republican Party really is.
Yeah.
So what are you exactly saying about the black nominees and the racism?
Oh, what I'm saying,
Republican Party?
No, nobody's racist. Nobody. Well, actually, there's a lot of anti-white racism. The number of white people who are racist, we couldn't fill up this room. So no, but Republicans are so. I mean, your average Republican, obviously I'm not, are so afraid of the mainstream media calling them racist. No, let's prove them wrong. Let's prove them wrong. It's the weirdest thing. I don't know. White people have a suicidal gene.
White guilt is what it's called.
You brought something up, and there's something to be said. The national polls are national polls. And then we go to New Hampshire.
Right.
And then we go to Iowa. And people still don't understand, even though it's been explained at length, that Iowa's not an election. It's an elimination caucus.
Right.
It goes like this, like this, like this, like this. And so all the national polls do this because they have to sell ads and have something to say. All the people on TV that, don't make jobs, they make noise. So you've got the national polls saying, oh, what about this? What about this? That's why Fred Thompson was up after he goes on Johnny Carson and he talks about that. I remember that. And that's why, Mike Huckabee, Huckaboom, the headline was on Drudge in the early days of Drudge when everybody was like, is this really a newspaper? What's going on? How is he influencing us? And then you go down to the micro polls. So the question is, within these micro polls, they always surprise everybody. So do you think, and I'm kind of circling back, that in New Hampshire and Iowa and South Carolina, the first 3 that matters, because then a bunch of PAC money follows you, almost like the vortex, right? That they're going to find a way basically to keep Trump off the ballot, because that's the only way he loses those primaries in what, 110 days?
Oh, I don't think so.
Do you think that he can lose on the ballot and lose?
Yes.
Wow, that's surprising, because you look at the.
I'm not saying it'll happen. I'm not confident, but I think it can happen.
How?
I just think people start paying attention, and I think the real Trump cultists, the ones who say we don't care what he does. We don't care. We don't care if he doesn't build a wall. We don't care if he gives amnesty to dreamers. I think the number of Republicans who think that is not that big. I think there is that cult, and that you think that that's 40% of Republicans. I'm thinking it's more like 10%, and they'll come along.
Who don't care?
Who don't care about any of the issues. It's a cult of personality, and you
Only
see them on
10%?
Twitter. Of Republicans.
Right, of Republicans.
Because it's, I don't know, maybe Republicans are dumber than I thought.
Well, the math is sort of proving you wrong. I mean, if you look at his approval ratings within the Republican Party, I mean, it's no longer the Republicans. If you don't agree with Donald Trump, you are now officially a rhino. You're a rhino. I don't know what the hell you're, a stegosaurus at this point. It's MAGA or nothing. Or nothing.
I am worried that crowd, the personality cult, may be bigger than I think. But I just think most of those people, when they are asked, because it's always been a popularity contest the year before, there's no reason to think this year is different. I think when they say Trump, what they mean is screw you media. I hate you Democrats. I hate Biden. I hate what's going on. And the first name they can think of, I mean, ask me to name a football player. What's his name? Tom Brady. Okay, I'm out now.
Taylor Swift. She's the biggest football player in the world now.
I got no more names for you. So I think a lot of people are like that, I mean, the not caring about politics has utterly foreign me, but you do meet such people. And when they say Trump, I think it means something different. And to that extent, I agree with Mar that I love Trump supporters. I mean, even when I hated him when he was president, and you'd see these huge Trump flags, it would always warm my heart. The big signs. I thought, I'm sure I would like these people because I think they like him because of all that wall stuff, because of how he was going to put us first, how he was going to bring jobs back, how he was going to, strike better trade deals. Well, didn't do any of that, but he moved the embassy. What do you think now, voter? Mm-hmm. Now, those people, I think we win back the percentage of the ones where they literally wouldn't care if you were governing exactly like Biden. They're just slobbering over Trump, 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 Trump. Yeah, we're not going to win them back.
And you said you travel a lot, right? I assume in 2015, 2016, when you nailed the Trump thing, you had the MAGA, the Republicans, taking pictures with you, shaking your hand, giving you hugs. When you travel now, I assume the liberals still hate you, no doubt. What's the Republican MAGA people say to you when they see you?
Well, it's probably not representative because of where the places I'm going to end up. But actually, after the 2020, I don't know if it was after 2020 or if it was after January 6th, I've had so many Republicans come up to me and say, I hated you when you were attacking Trump during the presidency, and now I see you were right. So that's all I've gotten from Republicans. Now, I don't think that's representative. I haven't gone to, I don't know where these Trump cultists live. I mean, when I saw January 6th, I think I tweeted this, I thought to myself, I've been wondering who still supports this guy. Okay, there they are. And they're not there. They're not exactly masters of the universe.
The shaman.
The shaman, exactly. Those are the people. So I'm not in a place where I
want to believe you. I want to believe you, but the numbers don't support what you're saying. So it makes you look bitter, and it makes you look angry, and it makes you look that no one can please you. Trust me, like you're somebody that I watched over the years, even till today. When you talk, there's in finance, there's a guy that they think he's cuckoo. His name is Michael Burry. Michael Burry is the guy from the movie Big Short. He's the guy that said the market's going to collapse. He's out of his mind. He's crazy. He's not. He just had a $1.6 billion bet against the S&P 500 6 weeks ago. They're like, what? So he took $1.6 billion of his client's money and he shorted the S&P 500. What's this guy thinking? No, he doesn't know what he's talking about. He's an idiot. He's this, he's that. I want to know what he has to say, right? Okay. You are a Michael Burry of politics because you said Trump's going to win, and he did. Now, Michael Burry's not 100%, right? He's not always going to get it right. It's impossible, right? Because it's speculation. There's a lot of things that came up. Same with you. So to be fair to you, you're not going to be 100% right. This is not a world that you can be 100% right. But a part of me is listening to you and saying, okay, is she upset with maybe, you wanted something from him, he didn't give it to you? That's option number one. Okay. 2.
Yeah, a wall.
Yeah. Okay, cool. Number 2, is she upset that maybe he said he was going to do what he was going to do and he didn't? Okay, fair. You're right. The wall and all this other stuff, great. Yeah, you had House, you had Congress, you had Senate, all this. Fair. Is she upset that, maybe they had a feud and something went there? Maybe.
About the wall.
What is she upset about? Now, your confidence.
I don't think I could be clearer about this.
No, I am with you. You've been very clear today to understand where you stand with this here. But the voter is still saying, we want this guy back in on the Republican side than anybody else. And it ain't even close. We were at both GOP debates. Not going to lie to you. I was at the first one, Milwaukee, exciting. Second one, we fell asleep. Half the audience was asleep. It was boring. First one, Vivek showed up. Second one, Nikki Haley showed up. Both DeSantis was number 2. So he can't pull off the first.
Not in the polls.
I know not in the polls, but, when you watch him, he's just the safe guy. He gives the safe answers. The first one, he kind of leaned on Christie to go after, Vivek and to go after Trump, but he didn't go after Trump. But on the second one, his campaign guys came back and said, if you're really going for it, you got to go after Trump. So then he went after Trump. And then in the conversation with Sean Hannity, I think we should do more of these. I would love to do a one-on-one. If we're doing one with Newsom, I'd love to do one with Trump. Okay, yeah, great. But then the audience and voters are like, still the same. No movement.
Right.
There is nothing that's exciting. It's almost like a person you like that you want to see flourish,
right?
But they can't win the people over. So what do you do then? So let's just kind of go in this scenario with you. Let's say it is Trump, okay? And let's say it's against Biden, maybe Kamala. Long shot Newsom. I don't think Newsom could, because if Newsom did, they're going to say, look, the white man fired a black woman's job. And that storyline on the Republicans is going to be phenomenal. They're not going to let Newsom, even though it should be Newsom, they're just not going to let it happen here. It'll happen 2028. It's catastrophic for Democrats if he takes it over Kamala. So let's say it is Biden, Trump. What are you going to do? Who are you going to support? Are you going to sit this one out? Are you going to vote for Joe Jorgensen? Are you going to be like, I'm going to go libertarian, independent? Are you going to wait for RFK to do something? What is Ann Coulter going to do?
I am worried that it could be Trump, but one prediction I'm very confident of is if it is Trump, he's going to lose. In fact, it'll probably be a 1964-style landslide. So it'll be a slow-motion airplane crash for me. And I mean, as you'll see from my Substack, I don't write that much about. Obviously, as we're heading into an election year, I'm writing a lot more about politics, but it's more about specific things like immigration, like crime, like anti-white racism and the affirmative action cases. So I figure, and there are people who do that, and I find them very interesting. If it's Trump, I'm not paying attention. I don't want to watch the plane crash. And the one satisfaction I will have is, and it's not satisfaction, I've done everything I can to save this country from high crimes and misdemeanors through even defending Trump to some extent, and resistance is futile by attacking the media and writing in Trump We Trust. I've done everything I can do. It's over at that point. And I wouldn't say it's satisfaction, but the people who are going to suffer the most are the ones in the Trump cult, are the 10,000 people or however many thousand ran into that Capitol building. I'm still going to have a great life. In fact, my pool boy is going to be a lot cheaper. And you know who's going to really suffer? Those people in the cult who just don't care and won't look at the wall and won't look at the issues and won't look at the fact that we're becoming a third world country, and they're going to be pushed aside and they'll be living up in the shacks like in Venezuela. My life is fine. In Brazil, in Venezuela, I'm going to do great, and I'm doing everything I can to save the lives of people who apparently hate me.
What if you're wrong?
I just told you what my life is going to be like if I'm wrong.
Pool, cleaner is going to be cheaper, all that stuff. But what if
She's
you're wrong?
Gonna have a pool boy.
Which part of that is wrong?
But no. What I mean is, okay, so for I really try to think on why some of the things didn't get done on first term, okay? Sometimes a first-term president's biggest fear is what? To be a one-term president. It's a fear.
It wasn't his.
But no, it was. Pre-COVID, he would have been a two-term president.
No, he would not have.
He would. The economy was good. There was no wars. ISIS was gone.
What's the one demographic he lost compared to 2016? Anyone know? Anyone know? What's the one demographic he lost?
The women?
Nope. White men. And it was in mostly the industrial Midwest, the states he lost. That is not because of COVID. They weren't living in New York City.
But he gained a bunch of other things. You're picking one thing he lost out of all the other things he won. But here's where I'm going with
Well, he lost the election.
What he did.
Kind of important. You got to win elections.
But losing the election was a black swan. I mean, you're smart enough to know it wasn't like a regular
wasn't.
election.
I knew he was going to lose the election. That one I would have bet you $1 million on that. In fact, I did make bets on that. That's why I only make stake bets now, because people never pay monetary bets, and I made a lot of bets.
So if you like this clip and you want to watch another one, click right here. And if you want to watch the entire podcast, click right here.